The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Emma Chen stood before the assembled representatives of 47 stellar nations. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of what she was about to say. "Honored delegates," Emma began, her voice steady despite the dread pooling in her stomach. "Humanity formally requests that the Krill Dominion withdraw from the disputed territories immediately. We are holding back our full military capabilities in the interest of galactic peace." The chamber erupted in what could only be described as laughter, a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and guttural sounds from species spanning thousands of light years. The Krill ambassador, a towering insectoid creature with 4 arms and compound eyes that glittered like black diamonds, leaned forward. "Holding back?" it chittered through its translator. "You primitive apes have been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries. The Krill Dominion has conquered systems for 10,000 years. Your warning is noted and dismissed." Emma's jaw tightened. She glanced at Commander Elijah Ross, who stood at attention behind her, his face carved from stone. He gave her an almost imperceptible nod. They had tried. "Then let it be recorded," Emma said quietly, "that Earth warned you. What happens next is not what we wanted, but what you chose." 3 weeks later, the Krill Armada descended upon humanity's outer colonies like a plague of locusts. 17 worlds burned in the first 48 hours. The Galactic Council watched with detached interest, already composing the historical records that would categorize humanity as another failed species, too arrogant to accept their place in the cosmic hierarchy. Commander Elijah Ross stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, humanity's flagship, watching the tactical displays with eyes that had seen too much death already. Around him, the bridge crew worked with mechanical efficiency, their faces grim. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the Krill have engaged our defense fleet at Kepler 442b. Conventional forces are being overwhelmed." Elijah closed his eyes for a moment, thinking of the thousands of lives about to be extinguished. He thought of his daughter, safe on Earth, who had asked him why the aliens wouldn't listen. He'd had no answer for her then. He had one now. "Unseal the Genesis protocols," Elijah commanded. "Authorization Ross Omega 77 Black." The bridge fell silent. Every officer turned to stare at him. "Sir," his executive officer whispered, "if we do this, there's no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again." "They never saw us at all," Elijah replied. "They saw primitives playing at civilization. It's time they learned what humans are really capable of when we stop holding back." Deep in the Prometheus's quantum core, locks that had been sealed since the ship's construction began to disengage. Humanity's true arsenal, the weapons they had developed in secret, the technologies they had hidden from the galactic community, the innovations born from a species that had nearly destroyed itself a dozen times and learned from each near extinction, came online. The first Krill battle group to encounter the unleashed human fleet simply vanished. No debris, no survivors, no warning. One moment, 300 warships were advancing on Neptune Station. The next, there was only empty space and confused sensor readings. Emma watched from the Galactic Council's observation deck as the reports flooded in. The assembled ambassadors, who had been smugly predicting humanity's extinction, now stood in shocked silence. "What weapon is this?" The Viridian representative demanded, its crystalline form pulsing with alarm. "This violates every galactic treaty on warfare." "We never signed those treaties," Emma reminded them, her voice cold. "You refused us membership, remember? Called us too violent, too unstable, too young. You were right about one thing: we are violent. We just chose not to be." The displays showed the Krill's second and third fleets being systematically dismantled. Human ships moved like nothing the galaxy had ever seen, utilizing faster-than-light tactics that violated what everyone thought they knew about physics. Weapons that rewrote matter at the quantum level turned mighty dreadnoughts into clouds of elementary particles. But it was the psychological warfare that truly terrified the Council. Every Krill ship received the same message before it was destroyed. "Earth warned you." Elijah stood in the holographic command center as his fleet, no longer constrained by the artificial limitations they'd imposed on themselves, executed maneuvers that would have been considered impossible by galactic standards. Humanity had learned to weaponize everything: gravity, time, thought itself. The Krill had expected a short war against primitives. Instead, they found themselves fighting a species that had spent 200 years in space not exploring but preparing. preparing for the day when the galaxy's older species would inevitably underestimate them. It took 6 days. 6 days for humanity to dismantle an empire that had stood for 10 millennia. The Krill Dominion surrendered unconditionally, their remaining forces retreating to their home system, their military broken, their pride shattered. Emma stood before the Galactic Council once more. This time no one laughed. "Ambassador Chen," the Council arbiter said, its voice carefully neutral, "the Council apologizes for dismissing your warnings. We did not understand the true extent of human capabilities." "No," Emma agreed. "You didn't. We've spent 2 centuries in your galaxy watching you look down on us, watching you dismiss our achievements, mock our caution, and ignore our warnings. We could have been your allies. Instead, you made us your cautionary tale." She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes or eye analogs of each representative. "Humanity is formally requesting membership in the Galactic Council. This time we expect you'll consider it more carefully." The vote was unanimous. Back on Earth, Elijah held his daughter tight, knowing that humanity had crossed a threshold. They were no longer the newcomers, no longer the primitives to be ignored. They were something the galaxy would never forget. A species that had tried to be merciful, that had warned their enemies, that had held back their full strength in the name of peace, until peace was no longer an option. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. Never mistake human restraint for human weakness. They had been warned. Now everyone knew the price of ignoring that warning.